Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're replacing my busted clutch fan and we're upgrading it too. So we're going to be upgrading it with a Gktech high performance engine fan. Basically it claims that it will do 40% more air into the engine than the factory RB. For those of you who don't remember, this is my clutch fan at the moment. You can see there's cracks all over it. It's split basically in two in some places. I did put some glue there to try and get me I guess by a little bit, but it's getting far too dangerous, and if I'm honest, this could potentially break off whilst I'm driving or under boost and punch a hole in my radiator, and not to mention anything else that decides to hit in the car, which was going to be very bad for me. So you can see there, basically I've got all the cracks in it, and I actually didn't realize how bad this was until we took it off. Now I've got Scotty in to help me today, obviously. He's my go-to guy, you know how highly I think of him, so he's come to my place to help me do this. I kind of know how to do it. Gktech have a video on how to install it into an R33, and obviously they're both running RB25, so it's not too dissimilar. However, I've gone a different route to what they did. So in their video, they basically release a whole bunch of stuff, such as the alternator belt, and do a few other bits and pieces. So I've headed down to my local supplier of Gktech stuff, which is Sleeker Spares here in Adelaide. Great shop. The boys down there always look after me and basically always have what I need in stock. They're a great little business for those of you who want to get your own fan. I highly recommend them. They had it ready for me to go. They stock all high performance products as well as some apparel and stuff like that. So really good business to get to see. Bought myself a HKS face mask because why not? So Sleeker Spares in Adelaide. Give them a look up, guys. So I'm going to start off by removing the radiator mounts. It did recommend to do this in the Gktech video originally. I probably didn't really need to do this, but I was just obviously doing it just because it said to do it. So I end up obviously removing it. Now with this video here, I fast forwarded a lot of stuff because you don't really want to see me taking out bolts and putting bolts in. This one was very stubborn, as you can tell, but I got it in the end, basically. This one was like butter, actually, so I actually didn't even know it was spinning. So that one comes off, and basically they both just pull out. There's nothing more to do with this one here. You just basically take them off. Now, you don't necessarily need to remove them in order to do this upgrade or replace your clutch fan, but I did it anyway because I think because that's what the Gktech video said. So I just wanted to be sure that I was going to be able to do it. So as I said, I've got Scotty here today. He's brought his tools, which are vastly better than mine because he is my go-to car guy. And we obviously met through the love of cars and whatnot. So his hands are a bit thinner than mine, and he's able to get in there and obviously undo those nuts there. Now there's 4 holding the fan to the actual pulley that obviously spins it. This gets a bit tedious, especially trying to get enough leverage on them to, I guess, turn the bolt. You can see Scotty is not struggling, but it's a bit fiddly, and so it takes a little while to get in there. So basically, once you undo these four bolts, you're pretty much able to, once you undo them all, obviously you're able to just wiggle the fan forward to get it out. Now what I will do is I will link the video of Gktech's install on an R33 with a front mount intercooler. Now once those bolts are off, you basically just wiggle it forward, and it can be a bit tricky as well. Make sure you don't hit your radiator. Any little bump to your radiator could cause it to rupture, and obviously you don't want that. That's how radiator leaks happen, and bad things happen in that as well. So gently or carefully as you can, try and remove the fan. It is a bit fiddly, guys, I'm not gonna lie to you, but once it's out, it's pretty easy. So your hardest parts of this are probably removing the fan and removing the bolts. So Scotty's pretty chuffed he got it out there. Yeah, that's it, chuck it away. So replacing the fan, basically It's very simple. Everything's pretty much laid out for you, and it's really easy to find information about this. So you can see there's the major crack there. There's one. I've got another crack on the other side and lots of little hairline cracks as well. So you can see it's actually really, really bad and very dangerous. But this is the one that really surprised me, which Scott brought to my attention. That one there, honestly, I must have done something right before, because that should have gone a long time ago. So basically you've got 4 bolts that hold the pulley or the clutch assembly to the fan. Once they're removed, it's pretty much easy to assemble the next part. So again, I've fast forwarded through quite a lot of this stuff, because I know it can be boring, but I want to try and give you as much information as possible so you can actually see how easy it is. Now, if my hands were a bit thinner, I probably could have done this myself. But look, that's the old fan there. You can see it's probably seen better days. That's the rear side of it that connects to the actual pulley or the clutch. And yeah, basically there's not too much more to it. It's kind of a simple piece of kit for what it does, actually. Now, Scotty's a bit of a perfectionist, so he wasn't willing to put it back on the car dirty. So he basically went to town on it with some wax and grease remover and a hose, and he grabbed one of my brushes there, which is not the normal brush we would use for something like this, but it's just what we had close to us. So assembly of the Gktech clutch fan. This is pretty simple, guys, and like I said, there's lots of information out there. Now, Scotty's a bit of a perfectionist, so he likes to make sure everything lines up perfectly before he even starts. So it comes with 8 bolts in total. Now, 4 are to connect the adapter plate to the assembly. Now, originally this fan was designed for SR engines, and it's a direct bolt straight onto an SR engine. However, they have made an adapter which suits the VG, VQ, and RB engines, I believe. And basically you can then run it with each of those. Now, on obviously the RB, it's a 40% increase in airflow. SR is 60%, which is massive. So regardless, I think this is a good upgrade over stock anyway. Now, Scott pointed something out to me with these fans as well. It's easy to make a mistake with these. So you'll see on the front here, it's got engine, which means it's meant to face the engine, and that's the front. A lot of people accidentally switch these around, and it creates issues. Thankfully, I'll be honest with you guys, I probably would have missed this. Thankfully, Scotty was here to look over it. So he is basically just lining everything up now to make sure that it's all good. Now, originally when I did this video, I did speak over it, and I thought the conversation and what we were saying was pretty good, but it was very windy and it came out terrible, so I'm doing the voiceover, obviously. So 4 bolts with washers connecting to the adapter plate, which is actually billet aluminium or billet steel. So it's very good quality, and I did offer Scotty a what do they call it? A battery powered screwdriver. He prefers to do everything by hand, so that's on him. But we'll just fast forward through that. So once that's basically done there, what we're going to do next is assemble the actual fan onto the adapter plate. Now, it's important that you make sure everything's done tightly. It doesn't have to be so tight that you actually feel like you're about to snap something, but just tight enough. There are specs to tighten these up. I don't have a torque wrench needed to Scotty, so we are not going to obviously torque them up, but we'll make sure they're on there quite tight. Next, we're going to place the fan onto the actual adapter plate, and there are 4 long M6 bolts that basically connect to that as well, and that holds it in there. So I think for this point, it's just as important to have the M6, to have the bolts in the adapter plate as what they are to have them in the actual fan. Both must be done tight, obviously not so tight that you're damaging anything, but obviously tight enough that it's never going to come through, and obviously never going to come loose, and obviously with the washer nuts there, it will make it so it's on there really tight. So again, guys, we are putting the bolts in there, or Scotty's putting the bolts in there, and basically we are just we're going to fast forward obviously him tightening them up, but I thought I would include the video so you could kind of get a really good idea as to how this is meant to be done. You can see here it's not overly too difficult, but there can be some circumstances where things get a bit fiddly, especially when you're removing it and putting it back in. And we come into some issues when we put this fan back in the car. We had to actually remove some grounding wires at the top near the engine, and we had to unplug a couple of things as well, which is not massive, but I'm just saying sometimes you can come into contact with a few things that don't go as right as you would expect, and this is just what you've got to do with it. So the fan's now assembled, and look, it looks great. Their branding is amazing, and just the build quality of what they use is pretty good as well. I didn't expect the adapter to be billet, but it was, so I was pretty amazed with that, and I think it looks really good. It is very much more appealing to the eye than what the original one was, and the fact that it's black kind of blends in with what I plan to do with the engine bay as well. So here, as I said, Scotty's removing some grounding wires from the engine, and we've unplugged a few things there to give us a bit more room in sliding this fan in, to then obviously get it back onto the pulley. So that's what we did there. So obviously in assembly or putting it back on the car is the exact opposite of taking it off. You put it down there and you line it up with the 4 bolts or the 4 studs that connect it to this. Once that's on there, basically from there you can tighten up the nuts. Again, there is probably torque specs for this, but I don't know them. So we just made sure we did them relatively tight, and were able to obviously make sure they were on there very, very tight. And we did run a test on the car to see how it was operating and how it was working. But let's just quickly, I just want to go back because my mind is blown about how bad this fan was. It's actually ridiculous. And the fact that nothing has happened to my car up until this point is amazing. Granted, when I found these cracks, which I think it was 2 weeks ago that I found them, but they'd probably been there for a lot longer. I actually super glued a couple of the cracks to try and obviously drag it out as long as possible. But yeah, I didn't even see this one, and it's not on the upper side, the side that you actually can see, so I wouldn't have known to do anything. So that was an accident waiting to happen, and that could have been me on my way to work under heavy boost. It could have been anything. But look, that's done now. Let's test it out and see how we go. So the last of the assembly now, we're just obviously attaching back those ground wires and plugging everything back in before we test out the fan to see how it goes. But yeah, basically make sure whenever you remove something you put it back in. It's always a good idea to take pictures of where things go before you remove them, so you know exactly where they go after you finished, and you can put everything back together the way it was. I do this all the time because I'm so forgetful. So it's all these little fiddly parts that will often make your upgrade or something come undone, and they can be obviously really bad in the long run if you forget about them. So always make sure you take pictures or whatever of what you're doing, so you can obviously refer back to it so you know exactly where everything goes. So it's back on the car now, moment of truth. Let's see if all our hard work paid off, and let's see what happens. Hit it. You guys can see everything ran true there, and it looked fine when it was spinning there. Thank you so much. I'll leave this video here now because it's gone on for long enough. Thank you everyone who's subscribed, watches, likes the videos. I really appreciate it. Until next time, all the best.